Yes,
Correct.
please start.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to this segment on VR and AR application for smart manufacturing. With me today, I have Dr. Bharathy, founder of Fusion VR, and he's also a business associate with Yokogawa. We shall be looking at the multifaceted view in terms of VR and AR for the smart manufacturing. Let's move on, and we're going to start by saying that whatever get you where you are today is no longer sufficient to keep you there. In the past, achieving production target with safety is actually enough. Today, we need to look at energy saving, equipment reliability, as well as profitability. All these areas are important areas of digital transformation for multinational as well as even for small, medium enterprises. To be complete, people, process, and technology must be integrated and aligned to the company's vision as well as business model. So extended reality is one of the key industrial 4.0 technology that actually harmonizes across the three entities. It trains and helps people in the new work processes, especially when the existing tasks are taken over by new technology. Dr. Bharathy, let's start by giving our audience the definition of XR and which manufacturing industries can benefit from the technology.
Yeah, Mr. Han. So I would like to give a brief about the extended reality, which is shortly called XR, or otherwise also called immersive technologies. Immersive technologies, or XR, encompasses three different variants: VR, AR, and MR. Virtual reality. I hope you can see the slides. Yeah. Okay. Virtual reality is the most immersive technology among the group. Virtual reality is usually experienced through a head-mounted device like this, like you see in this image. Almost 100% of the VR experiences are experienced through head-mounted devices. And you will be teleported inside the virtual space, stereoscopic 3D space, where you can navigate and you can also interact with your hands naturally. How you navigate and interact with things in the physical world, the same way you can do inside the virtual reality. And when it comes to augmented reality is just diagonally opposite to virtual reality. Virtual reality teleports to your synthetic world and which disconnects you from your physical world. Augmented reality establishes the connection between the physical world and the digital world. In the sense, most of the time augmented reality is experienced through a head-mounted device or through a tablet or mobile phone. When you launch a VR AR application, first thing the camera on and you see what is in front of you, the environment or equipment, and there will be digital information, contextual information overlaid on top. That is called augmented reality. And mixed reality is nothing but an enhanced version of augmented reality with more intelligence inbuilt and more environmental awareness inbuilt. And usually it is experienced through goggle like HoloLens. So this spectrum of technologies are contributing for the smart manufacturing in terms of mainly in terms of training and also other various segments. Yeah. And if you see, this is the latest report by PwC. The XR revenue potential boost is 1.5 trillion by 2030. 1.5 trillion. To give some context to you, the entire global real estate market is only 1.9 trillion. So you should know the volume of the impact XR is going to create. And if you take the segment wise, I have put this in a broader term, like if you start from product and service development, starting from product designing, digital prototyping, and digital simulation, especially the digital twin simulation. Later we'll talk more about that. And if you take healthcare simulation, starting from drug designing to drug marketing, till also the healthcare procedures, psychological treatments, all handled by XR inside the healthcare. And also the development and training. as I have mentioned, starting from operator training to maintenance training or any health safety environmental training, all this can be handled if I can say if the potential of XR training is going to be, let's say, if something is going to be logistically difficult, something is going to be very expensive, something where the risk is high, then these are the areas we can implement XR training. And also process improvements, in the sense augmented reality is widely used in while you perform the job, on the job assistance, like step-by-step guidances with augmented reality applications, and also remote expert guidance. Those are all comes in the process improvements. Also the retail and consumer market, starting from virtual try-ons to virtual showrooms, virtual browsers, virtual marketing, 3D applications, VR applications, all these play a big role in the industry. Originally it was VR, AR was the gaming and entertainment market was the major adapter, but now all the manufacturing industries like oil and gas, automobile, aerospace, mining, every industry is having an application in this segment. Yes, Mr. Hanson.
Yep. Thanks for the definition. I want to move on to examine a global survey result by Gartner in 2020. We actually know that AR/VR technology has been around for almost a decade. And out of the various technological pillars in Industry 4.0, AR and VR is the only technology that deals with human competency. The survey data actually shows that digital technologies adoption for workforce competency are the top priority for most of the board members. With this data as a backdrop, Dr. Bharathy, in your opinion, how do you see the rate of adoption over the past or the last 10 years? And what are the factors help to accelerate the adoption? Could you comment on this based on the results here?
Yeah, definitely answer. So you might have, the industry is coming across this term. Maybe we can move on to the next slide. Yeah, manufacturers not adopting Industry 4.0 may risk failing behind the curve. Even worse, they may not survive to see the next decade. There are reasons behind this, because if you see the case studies from the early adopters, because Industry 4.0 is there for almost a decade. Okay, so I'm from 2013. But those early adopted benefits, if you see the case studies, there are like 200%, 300% productivity increase, zero incidents. And if some company is adopting and enjoying these benefits, then the competitive advantage of those who doesn't adopt is not going to be there. So there is no other choice for the industry to go with the wave. And if you personally ask me, in my experience, what I'm seeing is, though I'm in the industry, VR AR industry for more than 10 years, earlier, when we give demonstrations or we talk about the AR VR use cases to enterprises, they used to appreciate the experience. Yeah, wow, nice. But the adoption was not there, because they were worried, because nobody want to be a foreigner, and especially for intangible asset investments. AR/VR is the major investment is not going to be on the hardware; it is going to be on the software side. So usually companies are hesitant on investing lump sums on intangible assets, and especially when the technology is new and they don't have the capacity or knowledge to how to quantify the benefits and how to calculate the ROI, because this kind of lack of knowledge was slowing the adoption. But especially in the past 2-3 years, since 2018, I am seeing a very good traction. The graph is going exponential. Now everyone wants to try AR/VR in their organization, and yes, and the environment, the ecosystem also favoring them in recent years, because well, the cost of hardware and software development has drastically come down. And the other thing, the hardware and software platforms are almost in the 4th generation or 5th generation now. They are most stable, bug-free, and the developers and the designers, user experience, user interface designers for VR, AR are also having enough experience over the years. So, and especially another thing, the recent rollout of 5G is really going to fuel the entire ecosystem. So this is the right time for the companies to consider taking AR VR initiatives to mainstream. Yes, hands-on. And yeah, just to add something to Hansan's point, you are seeing here the entire spectrum of Industry 4.0 technology, the smart manufacturing technologies, starting from IoT, big data, cybersecurity, cloud technologies, drones, AI, ML, and immersive technologies. Immersive technologies is one among the pillars of Industry 4.0, and immersive technology is somewhat unique from the rest of the technologies in the sense, while all other technologies are focusing on how to make the machines smarter, how to make them intelligent, on how to make the process smarter. Immersive technology is the only area focuses on human elements, how to make the people are the key. But almost based on a recent report, 70% of the people are not fit for their job in every domain you take, starting from teaching to manufacturing to medical. 70% of the people are not having this enough skill to perform their day-to-day job, and immersive technology is the only technology addressing this issue, human elements.
Okay, thank you. And let me add on to Dr. Bharathy's comment. I felt that the government of each country, they are also trying to do their very best to expedite the adoption of Industry 4.0 initiative. Just like when you are driving a car, you need a well-constructed road with safety signboard, well-functioning traffic light to ensure that the road users use the road for safe driving. This is the infrastructure set up by the government as a catalyst to help the company to adopt Industry 4.0. For instance, you can see that in Singapore, we have the Siri framework. In India, you have the Make in India. In China, Make in China 2025. And in Germany, Platform Industry 4.0, as well as those in United States, Advanced Manufacturing. Even the local, many countries around Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, they are all in full force, all right, to ensure that they give the vision. Not only they give the vision, they help to construct the infrastructure so that company can actually get on board of it without having to spend a lot of time worrying about the infrastructure and worrying about what is the vision forward. So if you look at this, it has been almost a decade old, 10 years. As you may know that subsequent wave of Industry 4.0 actually comes head-to-head collision with COVID-19. Has the future of work or XR adoption been drastically changed by the pandemic situation compared to the past? Let's examine this in a little bit detail, and I'd like to have your comment as well as your observation on this.
Yeah, Mr. Han, I was about to ask you about this. There is a digital divide among the MSMEs, medium, small enterprises, and large enterprises. The digital divide is not just among the society. If you take India, there are only 25% of the population is having internet access, and only 27% of the population is having a smartphone. The digital divide is not within the society, but also between the companies. When you take the MSMEs, they are not having enough awareness on the benefits of the Industry 4.0 is going to give them, and on the other hand, they are also not having enough financial background to invest. But anyway, as you have mentioned, all the governments across the globe are taking initiatives, especially in India. There are Startup India initiative, and there are also subsidies for the MSMEs, and there are a lot of training programs for the MSMEs, and the smart manufacturing is going on. And to answer your question, the pandemic, yeah, definitely pandemic. Without the digitalization, digital transformation technologies, we wouldn't have survived during the pandemic. It's not just immersive technologies alone. Starting from, we have been seeing the dashboards and a lot of applications regarding the pandemic updates, but it starts from the collection of data, putting them into the cloud, and analyzing the data using artificial intelligence to give the better insights about the infection, and also mapping with the GIS, like location wise. You are tracking people and all. These are powered by GIS, and the entire data ecosystem, logistic management of medical supplies and all backed by blockchain technologies. And if you take 3D printing, yeah, 3D printing, especially for the mass production of PPEs, was handled by 3D printing, and the manufacturing sector to cope up the large demand of the supplies. We're using VR and AR technologies for production and manufacturing, and also the healthcare frontline workers training to doctors in clinical procedures, emergency handling training, all handled by VR, AR. So digitalization. Without digitalization, we couldn't have survived the pandemic situation.
Right. Let me add further to this particular comment. All of us know that the fourth industrial revolution is not just one-off kind of development. It has got successive wave of innovation as well as disruption. Workers who actually cannot adopt the new technology of each wave will actually risk falling behind. There's another side of it is that as technology actually replaces tasks within job, workers must actually increase the value of what they do in the remaining tasks. They must also learn the new technology needed for this task. Workers who fail in this will actually fall behind in their wages. I like to use this career analogy that career is like location map, just like the one that you use for driving. Then executing a task along the way is the pathway that provides a GPS to the map. Without executing the required task, we will never be able to reach the career destination. Right? Workers can make transition in their career, right, from a previous career where things have been disrupted to a new career. They need skill upgrading. They need to understand the tasks required for them to transit to the new job. Okay, those tasks to be trained actually forms the pedagogical outcome of the XR design. Right, and these are important. Let me just take example. Example is that, for example, due to digitization initiative, implementation of robotics for surveillance in the field can actually disrupt some of the current tasks of a field engineer. For example, in this case, some of the tasks are being disrupted. If the career options available for the field engineer is clear, for example, he can become a control room engineer, a control room operator, process engineer. These are the different options, right? Then that career options available for the field engineer skill, then the different tasks to be trained now becomes the GPS to the new career map. In this case, we are talking about reskilling a field technician to become a control room operator. The task to be trained forms the pedagogical design of the immersive learning. Without the required training in this task, the field engineer or the field technician will never be able to reach the career destination of becoming a control room operator. Therefore, the subject of XR immersive design on skill competency training is very important if you look from this particular aspect. And I want to move on a little bit to discuss about the key challenges faced by company in XR initiative or even onboarding of XR. I felt that, through talking to many of our customers, I felt that the lack of familiarity with Industry 4.0 is one of the key factor, and they are unclear about how to get started. And also they lack a kind of systematic approach to identify which are the tasks to be trained using XR and how to make it into a real active kind of experience using XR. And most importantly is that they lack the digital confidence to operate along with intelligent machine and system. So further to that, what are your opinion of this subject in terms of common mistakes in implementing strategies or even onboarding of XR initiative?
Yes, Mr. Han. Firstly, the enterprises fail to understand this technology because this is not like a conventional way of training or teaching. So the enterprises should spend enough time to understand the actual possibilities rather than easily get carried away with the impossibles. Okay, and the expectations are like very short turnaround times and short return on investments. It is going to be, especially when you are talking about people, enhancing the skill level of people. It is difficult to quantify the benefits. There are mechanisms and tools, unless otherwise you develop the companies develop the proper KPIs. They have to decide what are the KPIs to be achieved and what is the strategy. It has to be documented, and they have to choose the right partner. If you are developing a VR solution for oil and gas, then you should work with the company should work with the company which have enough exposure and knowledge on this particular domain. And allocation of funds. Most companies, they allocate funds for a proof of concept, and after that they don't come back to go for the next level. Why? Because they fail in measuring the benefits. The failure starts from selecting the use case. Unless the stakeholders, all the stakeholders in the organization, starting from the end user department till the IT department, if everyone has to be on the same page, everyone has to be involved, and they have to decide the proper use case which can be addressed through this technology. Because VR AR is not going to create any miracle or magic. So selection of proper use case, proper strategy, and involvement of all the stakeholders, and selection of proper partners. These are the key areas companies has to focus. But whoever failing in the XR implementation, they miss these areas.
Right. Further to the KPI or the ROI that Dr. Bharathy has mentioned, I would like to add a comment on the subject. I call it the win results, which I often bring into discussion with clients for any digital transformation initiative. The KPI or the result, company actually get the results, but only the people win. Result is the ROI, where we say it is something can be measured, it's tangible and quantifiable. But then when you come to the people within the team itself, winning, I use the word winning, is actually personal. It is not something that can be measured and not something that be quantified. We say that by winning, we say that the person feels good and feels right and feel positive about a particular outcome. Let me just give you an example of this, is that if a company is looking at, let's say, a KPI or a corporate ROI of reducing, let's say, overtime work of 30% by a certain digital or transformation initiative, the win of each person involved in this team may be different. For example, the department manager feels that she will experience a personal win when the management finds her more efficient. Therefore, the win is for her is to be recognized as being efficient, and the win result is corporate, which is 30% reduction of overtime. Let's take, for example, another person within the team, all right? Someone who is a technical guy within the team, he may experience a win for being potentially recognized as a guru of that technology in the company. And yet another member, for example, he or she is from the HR department. He or she may feel that she can be recognized as a change agent for digital transformation initiative. Therefore, the win within a team can be different, right, for each member. So instead of just driving the KPI, the ROI, which has got the effect of mechanizing people to achieve company result, we need a balance. We need that humanizing part of people winning in any initiative. Winning, I would say that it is the sustainable driving force as well as a core motivation for people to achieve the ROI so that the initiative can continue even wave after wave or improvement after improvement. Right. And moving on, I'd like to show you this report from Gartner on the future of work. And it actually highlighted what is in the top of HR leaders' mind. It clearly shows that critical skills and competency development are the top consideration for businesses to go forward. Having this backdrop, what is your opinion? When will the enterprise XR go mainstream? And what is the future of it?
Okay, Han, since we are referring to Gartner, there was a Gartner's hype cycle in 2016 or 17, if I'm not wrong. According to that Gartner hype cycle, the XR technology should have reached the plateau of productivity by this time. But it didn't happen because of various reasons which we have discussed just now. But the current situation, companies, for them to survive and being competitive in the market, they have to be productive, they have to be incident free, and they have to develop the skill level of the people. They left with no other choice rather going with adoption of XR technology. And there is a report available from WHO and ILO. According to them, industrial accidents causes 2.6 million fatalities every year. 2.6 million, it's a huge number. And also 90% of these industrial accidents are caused by human errors. So it is key to develop the skill of the people. And the wonderful tool right now we are having in the human history for the very first time is the VR, AR, XR platforms. And the ecosystem is matured enough for the industry to adopt. And as I mentioned, 5G is going to be the key for this adoption. Why? Because now the VR development VR applications cannot be hosted in cloud for various technical reasons. The accessibility and implementation, there are certain bottlenecks with the current technology, which can be overcome by 5G. And definitely in the next 5 years, VR, AR will go mainstream. Compared to VR, AR adoption is exponentially going up because AR doesn't require any special devices. Almost 90% of the AR experiences are experienced through mobile phones or tablets. Almost everyone is having a smartphone nowadays. So AR adoption is peaking when compared to VR. But industrial training purposes, VR has its own strength.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I personally feel that there's an enormous opportunity for the future of work in XR adoption. With the current COVID-19 pandemic situation taking on different waves of development, social distancing, contingency planning, cross-training, as well as remote collaboration will continue to become the new normal operation. Business continuity and sustainability can be achieved by XR initiative, as you can see from this diagram. The way in which the so-called the UI, the user interface, user experience, as well as the design and skill competency curriculum that is being developed to impact that learning pedagogical outcome becomes important. Somehow, not every XR initiative is achieving the desired outcome. What are the possible reasons? And from your perspective, what are the common mistakes that XR service provider or developer actually made in the so-called in the project itself?
Okay, you are asking about the other side of it.
Yes.
Not only the end user companies are committing mistakes. Equally, the XR developers also contributing to that slower adoption. Mainly the most people, especially from our industry, the development industry, they promote the technology rather the solution. For the end user, technology, they are not very much interested on which tool or which technology or platform you are going to use. As like you need to address their pain points with the proper solution. So companies need to starting about the solution rather than talking about the wow factors of the VR immersion and the technological highlights. And companies, the developers it's their responsibility to educate the client so that the clients can come out with the useful use case, sensible use case. Because as a development company, we cannot decide the use case standing in the shoes of the client. So it's the first responsibility starts from educating the client, and this is and the other way around. The development company should have enough domain knowledge about the industry they are working with. If there are the oil and gas client, if the development company is working for oil and gas company, then there should be some oil and gas knowledge, enough knowledge. Automobile delivery, then there should be some mechanical engineers. But what the reality, almost 95% of the VR development companies are from the gaming background. Though they know they have the capacity to develop very good VR experiences, but they fail to understand the scope. Okay, and moreover, VR shouldn't be considered as a technology. It's a brain science. There are a lot of psychological factors involved because VR is directly going to impart the knowledge in your brain straight away. Okay, as an experience, first person experience. That is why the VR knowledge retention rate is 4 times when compared to conventional training. Directly going to talk with your brain, and it is going to cheat the brain as if it is real. So a lot of psychological factors involved. These are all easily ignored by the developers. At the end, when somebody experience a poorly developed VR, they end up with nausea, low BP, whole body sweating. Okay, so physically and the psychological and physiological factors has to be considered. And most VR, the visual impact is the 60% of the immersion of any VR development. But if you see the most of the VR products fail to deliver a rich VR environment and VR content. And user experience designs has to be humanized, as you well said. Earlier we used to mechanize the humans. Now we have to humanize the machine interactions. So there are various perspectives to be considered in development. It's not just engineering and technology, lot of human science. So developers has to be have to be mindful enough on this area. Then only they can deliver good products. This product in the end will give nice user experiences, and in turn it will deliver productivity increase, and it can be quantified in terms of ROI. Okay, that's what I am seeing in my perspective on.
Right. Thank you for the frank comment. And we move on to, many people have been asking us on the synergy of collaboration between Yokogawa as well as Fusion VR in delivering XR initiative for customers. I personally think the voices of customers are important. And this is the energy factor publication from ExxonMobil, which we jointly are the immersive learning solution provider. It clearly states that, and as well as endorses the technology has changed the way that to train the workers. It requires seamless design of user interface, user experience, as well as a well-thought learning process. Therefore, there's a need for deep understanding of business domain of operation of customers. Well, Yokogawa's domain is actually in the area of process industry, which includes oil and gas, chemical, power, renewable energy, even LNG supply chain. Such businesses are actually handled through global presence in the most country. Dr. Bharathy, I'd like you to say something about the collaboration which we have been doing and to ensure that we deliver the project on schedule. And not only that, but actually how we add value beyond the customer's requirement.
Okay. Most of the points we have already discussed. The success behind the Yokogawa Fusion VR partnership is the domain knowledge. Fusion VR, we have almost a decade of VR AR development, and we are not just a company, VR AR development company. As you know, there are process engineers, mechanical engineers. We are not. We have a composition of nice composition of designers, programmers, and engineers. And especially when dealing a project like oil and gas project like the one, the ExxonMobil Singapore one, we need extensive domain knowledge in the process industry. And the client is in Singapore and the development is happening in India. There should be a team to interface between the development team and the end client. And Yokogawa team was doing a wonderful role on this project, where they're able to educate the client on the possibilities of the technologies, and the Yokogawa team also able to make us understand, the development team, the scope. So we were able to avoid the multiple iterations or mistakes. So it's a good handshake between two different domains, and we were able to deliver the project on time with the client's satisfaction. Yes, so we believe we should continue handling this kind of projects for the benefit of Yokogawa Fusion VR, and mainly for the client. The client was headache free after handing over the project to us. Even where the client missed certain areas, even we managed to address those areas to enhance the product. And this is how a partnership should be answered. I'm really happy about that.
All right, thanks for that. The subject on synergy and collaboration. And to end our conversation today, perhaps Dr. Bharathy would like to comment on the future forecast on competency training, addressing the use of immersive digital twin, and particularly how enterprise metaverse will impact on this. Your thinking, please.
Okay. Firstly, XR technology has a use case for the entire spectrum, for the whole life cycle of any manufacturing units, starting from design management to operational maintenance management to health safety environment management. And the recent addition to that is digital twin. Digital twin is nothing but a digital representation of a physical entity, and this physical and digital entities should have live data connection, IoT. There should be a physical entity, digital entity, and data transmission between these two. This is the simple digital twin. And if artificial intelligence is integrated, then you can get useful insights on the predictions, and even it can give prescriptions as well, what to do. Okay, and this is about digital twin. But these digital twins in current scenario are operating as silos. Silos in the sense, if we develop some, let's say for ExxonMobil, we develop their plant and create a digital twin. The use case of the digital twin can be operation monitoring, or maintenance training, or remote assistance, whatever it can be. There are a lot of use cases for digital twin. But these digital twins function as a silo. It resides just inside the computer of the client. That's all. Imagine this way. If this digital twin is going to be part of the larger space called metaverse. Metaverse, before that, I need to give you some, give the audience some context about metaverse. Metaverse is going to be the next generation of internet. In internet, you are going to browse the world through a 2D screen, 2D interface. But metaverse is going to be a 3D space, which is going to be experienced through VR or AR devices, which is going to be immersive. And the users are going to be part of the world. It is not you are sitting outside and watching through the internet screen. You are going to be part of the world. It will be shared world, shared, augmented, and virtual world, which will have digital twins of people. Like Bharathy can have a digital twin of himself, and Juan can have a digital twin of him, and all the spaces in the world will be virtually created. Digital twins of spaces and plants and factories are going to be integral part of the metaverse. And the metaverse is open. Anybody can enter. And as long as, let's say, as I have mentioned, if we have created the ExxonMobil plant, for example, I'm saying, as a digital twin, and we make it as a part of the metaverse universe. Okay, then if a contractor sitting in the Europe, sitting in Middle East, they want to virtually visit this plant for any technical discussions or maintenance discussions or modification, we can just invite them to visit our place. Just by clicking a button, they can get teleported inside our plant. And the same way, we can visit other part of the world, other part of the plant, and there can be cross training. There can be collaborative discussions inside the plant environment itself. There are a lot of use cases when the digital twin already is creating a lot of use cases. If the digital twin is going to be part of the metaverse, then the use cases and the benefits are enormous. And as per the Bloomberg Intelligence report, currently in 2021, the revenue generated by metaverse is 180 billion. And by 2024, it is going to be 800 billion. And by 2030, it is going to be 2.5 trillion. 2.5 trillion. And just to give you some context to that number, the entire energy market globally is 2.95 trillion. And the metaverse alone is going to be 2.5 trillion. So this is going to be anyway. This will take another 10 years to become mainstream. But definitely, this is going to create a big shift in the way businesses are going to operate. And yeah, it will become like how the past 15 years mobile phones, smartphones adoption has become mainstream. This metaverse adoption is inevitable, and we are going to be part of it, whether we like it or not.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Bharathy. And with that, I like to thank Dr. Bharathy for the various views that has been expressed today on the various questions that have raised throughout this conversation. With that, I like to wish everybody the best, keep safe, and all the best to all our audience. All right. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hansan and the audience.
Thank you.